Okay, we are back. I love this chapter. This was another absolute banger. I'm starting to think like really like the days of like duddy chapters are pretty much over. Like sorry. For the most part, every chapter is good in some merit. Like there's not really a bad unless you count like the Foxy arc, of course, and like maybe some of the tail end Wano stuff before that like gap that Oda took. Like that was well, a lot of the toward the tail end of Wano was kind of a mess, but for the most part, all the chapters are pretty good. But there are definitely some like dud weeks during like like the whole cake days and the Wano days. There were just some like chapters that were like just not hitting as strong. But I feel like everything since the start of Egghead on every single week has been a banger. Like I feel like I read this and I'm like, that was an incredible chapter. I feel so invigorated, so like that was so good. I have so much to think about. I have so much to talk about, and it's like it's every fucking week. I mean, I guess that's what the concept of getting in toward the end game of the story. We are in the sort of final stretch of One Piece right now. By final stretch for One Piece, I mean like final years of content because One Piece is such a long fucking epic story. But yeah, let's get into this chapter because it was an absolute banger. I want to start by like talking about the Gunko stuff because as I predicted, Brooke was going off to find Gunko. I can't. It's been too long, I guess. Like it's been probably a year since we last saw what Brooke was up to, like in real time, and I can't remember for the life of me like why he's in these bandages like cupping along. Like could someone remind me? I guess I like totally cannot remember. If you're watching this and you remember, I'm like, oh, just like I'm like, oh, Brooke is probably like running off like doing something crazy, and he's like nudging along in these bandages, and I'm like, what happened? Something must have happened that I'm just totally forgetting. But yeah, so I think it's pretty clear what's happening here in terms of he sees, as we kind of knew all this, we kind of surmised all this, that he recognizes it's the girl from that like one like flash of memory we saw of him playing violin for a child. It was a princess that he probably worked for her father if he wasn't her father himself. And I think we surmised that's probably more likely he like worked for her father in some capacity. But he said, this is the shocking part. He says, Princess Shuri, I had hoped I'd go the rest of my life without ever having to think about you again. Like screams it. I owe everything to the man whose life you took. My patricidal princess is like such fucking good Oda phrasing right there. It's like such a good like wording there. And I don't know if that's like a translation bit or not, but yeah. So I think like what's pretty much happening here is that she was taken over by Emu and made to kill her father, who Brooke was either really close with or worked for, or like something had some like strong bond or relationship with in some capacity. And it like he probably loved Gunko. Well, what's her name? Princess Shuri. In some capacity, like and was like probably devastated seeing that happen, but he thought it was her like volition, and I think this just reminds me how fucking sheerly terrifying Emu is as a villain, because we make all of these like jokes about how like, oh, Emu's probably an incel, he's like a spurn suitor for Lily, things like that, and then you see panels like this where fucking Gunko like squints in pain when Brooke says that, and you see those eyes, this like staticky background as she's like sitting and it says, Gunko, are my memories beginning to return? And then thou attempts us to move on thy own will, and he cracks her back with like, and a burst of hockey comes out. Like, oh my god, it's so fucking terrifying. Like, just to come off your complete will, like your free will completely just overtaken and have this person's controlling you in his eyes. It's almost like it almost reminds me of like the terror like that they convey of like Bran's warging of Hodor in A Song of Ice and Fire, you know. But this is much more intentional and much more like the sheer lack of care for someone's humanity that Emu has, and like I'm genuinely looking at these panels right now. They're like absolutely terrifying, and like it starts off with like just the blank stare of Emu's eyes, and then like the next time it's like this anger that you see in them. It's genuinely scary, but anyway. And I think that like it reminds me like really what makes Emu the perfect antithesis to Luffy, where Luffy like his ultimate like ethos and the ultimate like goal of everything he's doing is freedom, and like distilling that freedom, you know, everywhere he goes and fighting for anyone who he sees as oppressed, you know, and like Emu's really the perfect antithesis to this in the sense that like this is the ultimate betrayal of freedom. This is the ultimate crushing of freedom, is completely inhabiting a person and taking away their free will and causing them extreme physical pain if they try to even remember their own self and or exert any sort of will for themselves. God, it's terrifying, and it's why Emu is the perfect like primary antagonist for this series, you know? It's like but yeah, she tries to warn Brook and remembers him and remembers his name. But the arrows loosen because she gets distracted temporarily. I just totally ignore everything I said before. I was reading on my phone. I just totally realized what was happening. Brook is tied up because Gunko wrapped him in her arrows. And they got released when she got distracted. Or when she got hit by that hockey from Emu, you know. So I'm so stupid. Wow. Ignore everything I said before. God. Yeah, but yeah, so I just know the Brook Gunko flashback is going to be absolutely crushing. It's going to be devastating. Like I can sense it. I can feel it already. Yeah, my crackpot theory here, and this is pretty crackpot, is that like Emu has a thing for possessing a blue-haired princesses and making them his vessel. So like I'm wondering, essentially what I'm trying to say here is I'm wondering if Nefertari Lily was essentially his first iteration of what Gunko is now. Where he took over a princess of a kingdom that was allied with him, completely possessed her, broke away all of her free will, and essentially used her as a vessel for him. And maybe that's why, you know, he's so like fixated on Lily, is because maybe Joy Boy probably helped her gain her memories back and escape his grasp, and that's why he has such a grudge, particularly pertaining to Lily. And of course he already hates Joy Boy because this is like got to be his arch nemesis, the person that almost beat him. I genuinely think that like he would have, like Joy Boy would have won if it weren't for some fucked up trickery, like you know, like a Orochi thing in Wano. Like I feel like that was a good like microcosm of it. Yeah, I feel like Oda does that a lot throughout the series, where he'll take arcs and make them sort of microcosms like of the broader story, like Wano, Dressrosa, Skypiea, things like that. But yeah, that's my crackpot theory there. I wonder if Lily was like essentially the first Gunko. But like I said, it's pretty crackpot. We have zero evidence. It's just something that popped in my head as I was thinking about the chapter. But yeah, a lot of people were theorizing the fucking final page panel of Summers. But yeah, a lot of people were theorizing that the best strategy here is to just destroy the ships. because that leaves I mean, I'm sure they can contact nearby like marine bases or anything like that and get some substantive ships over, but that takes time. Like at the earliest, like at the fastest they could go, that could probably take like a couple hours, at the fastest possible, because it's been established that they cannot take the kids to the pentagrams, and like literally only people that have the covenants with Emu can do that. So yeah, dragging the ships was like a fan idea that was circulating for the past few weeks that like seemed like it was going to happen, and it makes so much sense here because now it's like, well, what do we do? And yeah, so like I said, they can call a marine thing, but that buys our heroes a few hours at least to figure out how to like take these guys down. Yeah. And what was I just gonna say? Oh yeah, going off of that, one of my friends said something that was like actually really helped me contextualize this a little bit, is that it seems like maybe, the experimentation that was commissioned by the government, that Caesar, was working on with the gigantification of the kids, maybe this is the next iteration of that, where he wanted the giant, Emu wanted the giants, failed with Harold, went to experimentation on kids to turn them into giants, and then I just totally lost my train of thought. Holy shit. Oh, and then, when that failed, went back to trying to gather giant children. And I think that makes a whole lot of sense. And my crackpot, even on top of that, is what if Big Mom was an original experimentation? Like, what if we don't know what happens before Linlin is dropped off on Elbaf? So like, what if Linlin was an original iteration of that experimentation? Who knows? Who knows? I certainly don't. Yeah, were there any other points I wanted to touch on for this chapter? We get a new one next week. Very exciting. Unless it's just an unannounced break week that has been happening lately. God, I feel so stupid about not understanding what was going on with that. I need to not read the chapters on my phone, because whenever I do, I miss details because I'm like squinting to see the panels. I love the shot of obviously, I don't think Dorian Broggier are dead. I think yeah, that was such a smart plan. Like to cut, like he cut each of their shields, so like they would hit each other. And I thought that was so smart because like it makes him non-culpable, He's like, I don't, but I love the shot where he's like bouncing on the giants' heads. Like I know I could hear the noise, like the poo 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 Toei animation noise there. But yeah, I loved the part where Zora like asks, why can I not find it? Zora like asks permission. Is it okay if I cut these guys down? Try like they're like, okay, fine, but like please keep their pride intact. Like don't, like there are like, we honor them. And they start like heckling Haryuden and the other guy, and they're like, did you finish your quest to unite all the giants in the world? What's ever gonna happen? They're like, fuck it. Go for it. And then that Zoro, classic Zoro smirk. It's like, okay, you got it. And he hops up. I love that. I love Zoro. He's so fucking good. Yeah, I think that was kind of all the points I wanted to touch on here. But yeah, banger of a chapter. Seems like we're getting a chapter next week unless there's an unannounced break. Yeah, I'm loving this stretch. So One Piece is the best. What can I say? Thanks for listening.